your hand in my jacket. I'm thinking so irrational. You flew me international now. And we can spend hours reading the signals, but that's so unoriginal. What if we took this back to my house? Under all these lights, I gotta take a minute to calm down. But I feel like if I told you I was ready right this minute, do you think that it would turn you on? I just feel like you need to know. If I told you I was ready right this minute, would you just run off and tell someone? I just feel like you need to know. I don't wanna feel like we're wasting time. Tell me, should I go and call up a taxi? We can make out for a play in the backseat. Please tell me now how that all sounds. You can sleep in while I make breakfast, watch cartoons and talk about exes. And if you have
Les écharpes.
around, I just feel like this is worth the risk. I never felt a fire like this. If I told you I was ready right this minute, do you think that it would turn you on? I just feel like you need to know. If I told you I was ready right this minute, would you just run off and tell someone? I just feel like you need to know. Right here, right now, we're running out of things to talk about. Right here, right now, I'm about to let the truth come out. If I told you I was ready right this minute, do you think that it would turn you on? You tell me now. If I told you I was ready right this minute, would you just run off and tell someone? Keep my feet on the ground. If I told you I was ready right this minute, I just wanna do it till you on. I just feel like you need to. It's clear. If I told you I was ready right this minute, would you just run off and tell someone? I just feel like you need to know. If I told you I was ready right this minute, do you think that it would turn you on?
Ah super, merci.
Between me and you, there's an ocean between our love. If I'm telling the truth, what am put your hand in my jacket. I'm thinking so irrational. You flew me international now. We can spend hours reading the signals, but that's so unoriginal. What if we took this back to my house? Under all these lights, I gotta take a minute to calm down. But I feel like if I told you I was ready right this minute, do you think that it would turn you on? I just feel like you need to know. If I told you I was ready right this minute, would you just run off and text? Tell me, should I go and call up a taxi? We can make out for playing the backseat. Please tell me not how that all sounds. You can sleep in while I make breakfast, watch cartoons and talk about exits. And if you're happy, stick around. I just feel like this is worth the risk. I never felt a fire like this. If I told you I was ready, this would be right now, we're running out of things to talk about. Right here, right now, I'm about to let the truth come out. If I told you I was ready, then it would turn you on. You tell me that. If I told you I was ready, you just don't know what's
Alors je savais que cette cérémonie allait
Now, I knew
commencer
that
avec
this ceremony was going to start with a lot of emotion. It's a lot of emotion for me to be able to welcome you here this evening in the campus in Lille. Dear students, dear graduates, dear parents, welcome. I'm delighted to be able to welcome you here for these EDHEC celebrations. I'd also like to welcome all of our students, because we're EDHEC online, all of our students who are following us at the moment remotely. We haven't forgotten them, and we'd like to greet them all from Lille, our students in London, Saint-Pierre-de-Miquelon, New York, San Francisco, Papeete, Rio, Fort-de-France, Manila, Dubai, and Tananarivo. And I know that some of you were blocked at the airport in Abu Dhabi and are following us live from Abu Dhabi.
For those who are non-French native speakers, please feel free to ask a staff member in order to obtain a translation headset. So if you need one, ask us and we'll provide it very soon. Cette cérémonie
This
va durer
ceremony
environ
is going to last
1h15.
about an hour and 15 minutes, and I reassure you there is a professional photographer here with us, so you don't have to try and take
Dans des
photos.
clichés de famille, aucun besoin en tout cas de vous stresser
Don't
ici à
worry
ce
at all,
sujet.
rest assured.
Tous ces clichés vous
All of
seront
these
remis
pictures will
très
be sent to you
rapidement
very
ces
quickly,
prochains jours.
so in the next few days.
Alors, je vous ne cache pas, je disais bien évidemment notre réjouissance, notre
Now,
joie
quite
de vous
frankly,
avoir
what a pleasure
aujourd'hui
it is
sur
to see you all here
campus.
again on this
C'est un
campus.
véritable bonheur
It
de
really
pouvoir
is
vous
so
accueillir
wonderful to
toutes
be
et
able to
tous.
welcome you all
Inutile
here.
de vous dire que les affres du Covid,
I don't need to say
différentes
that
péripéties que nous
COVID
avons
and all of the
pu
things that we have been
connaissons
through
actuellement,
and that we're
eh bien,
still
me-
going
m'amène
through
à vous remercier surtout
lead me
de
to
votre
say
présence,
thank you
toutes et
to
tous,
all
et
of you for
surtout
coming
aussi
here.
de valoriser l'ensemble
And
de
thank
nos
you very
diplômés
much for
aujourd'hui.
honouring
Et je
all
crois
of
que
our
nous pouvons
graduates
largement les
today.
applaudir
And I
pour le
think we can
chemin
give them a
parcouru.
round of applause for their achievements so far.
Et pour ouvrir cette
And
cérémonie,
to open this ceremony, I'm delighted to invite Benoît Arnaud, Director of Programs at EDHEC Business School and Director of EDHEC Online, if you'd like to come and join me on the stage. Thank you, Loïc. Hello, everyone. at last, the long-awaited moment. So congratulations, all of you. Some of you have been waiting for this day since 2019. So, dear participants of the BSc, MSc online, dear teachers, dear EDHEC staff, dear partner spouses, everybody who is following us online, welcome to this beautiful campus in Lille, where the weather's almost fine for this long-awaited graduation. Now, it's a bit like a rite of passage, and especially for parents. And we went to have a look in our database of graduates, and we looked for the oldest graduate who is still alive, because in a way we're all custodians of this heritage, and this gentleman was in your position in 1938. He's called Mr. Jacques Carpentier. He was born on the 16th of June 1918, and he graduated in 1938. He's 103 years old today. We spoke to him on the telephone recently. He's doing well. He lives near here, and he said he was still training on the internet, online.
Et donc, quelque part, on peut être un peu fier de
so I think that we can all be proud to know that we belong to that heritage. Jack was in a grande école class of 50 students, all from the north of France. All of them were men, and things have changed a lot. So
donc on peut être assez fier de
I think we can be very proud to see what you've become today, thanks to online training, thanks to what EDHEC has become as well since 1938. 10,000 students, 150 teachers, 1,000 lecturers, 750 employees, 50,000 alumni. So it's a big family that you're part of. And so the question is, where are we going? What will EDHEC be like in 20 years? Where will you be? And I asked Google, and Google spoke about the length of my hair, and I don't think that's what you're interested in. But in any case, it's true that we're moving into an uncertain period with the pandemic. We've had a little bit of respite, and it enables us to get together. We hope that this is going to last, but with global warming, the war in Ukraine, the energy crisis, and well done to all of you who've been able to come by car today, the social tensions that are coming up. There are so many difficulties that lie ahead, and last week we welcomed the Minister for the Energy Transition, and she said that 2/3 of the greenhouse gases came from oil and gas in France. So there's a long way ahead, and by looking at you, I said, you know, it's a world of opportunities that opens to us as well. So many opportunities. You're going to have to take this context, you're going to have to show courage, solidarity, keep hold of your values, support each other, adapt, innovate, and we're very proud of the reaction of all of the EDHEC communities during the pandemic. Some of you decided to go online before COVID started, so you were visionaries in a way. And I'd also like to thank all of the teams who did fantastic work being able to monitor and coordinate these programs, the staff, coaches, teachers. So let's give them a big round of applause today.
Voilà, alors c'est vrai que vous avez
it's true that you were working from home. I don't know whether you were used to it. I'm sure that it was for the greatest joy of your spouses, your children, because with COVID it wasn't easy in our jobs. And when we think that we had problems in our social lives, movements, travel, business, even work, and so you're probably the bravest promotion of all time. So I wanted to give you a round of applause as well for that.
Et donc la chance,
just a quick story, it wasn't easy for some of the teachers to have to teach from their bedrooms with children who are 3 or 8 years old and trying to do their lessons at the same time. But the EDHEC governance supported us during that period. We succeeded in holding course for our EDHEC plan for future generations. And so, yes, of course, we managed to keep our economic balances, we maintained our investments, our projects, and all of that during one of the biggest crises of humanity. And so beyond the COVID issues, which required investments, we also invested massively in green finance, the hybridization of our programs online, and also the transformation programs too. And so I wanted to share a few pieces of news about that period. First of all, in research, we developed a lot in terms of our academic quality of our research, and we produced 200 stars last year. In our industry, we measure research in stars, so that's a 40% increase, a historic record. cohort, and we're very proud of our professors in the academic world. And then in terms of the climate, lots of people talk on the television about this. We decided to act. You may have seen the global press campaign against greenwashing, and we're going to continue to transform the financial industry in depth. We've got lots of new courses on climate change. We have launched a leadership curriculum as well, almost 300 sustainable impact projects as well, led by our students. And then we're also investing 20 million euros over 5 years in research and development in our Sustainable Finance Research Centre, so that we can answer difficult questions like, if the temperature increases by 1 degree in France, what's the impact on businesses? And we don't know at all today. Or what's finance going to do to be able to invest and favour investments in the climate transition? So it's as much as all of the budgets, I think, of the army, education, and also higher education. So it's something like that. So it's a huge challenge, and we've decided to take our share. And then EDHEC America, we have just moved to the Berkeley campus. Despite COVID, we've continued with our international development. We have over 200 students each year who study in Berkeley and UCLA, and we've got some new online certificates with Stanford as well. EDHEC Entrepreneurs, we've doubled the number of places at Station F, so if anyone's interested in creating a company, there's an incubator. I don't know if you've heard of Station F. It's one of, or the biggest incubator in the world, and we've got 130 places there, and we work with INSEAD and HEC. We have also opened a new Jean Arnaud campus in Lille, which the Arnaud family gave us. So they own LVMH in Lille, and we also have an incubator with social projects as well, where we are enabling young people in difficulty to get back to work via entrepreneurship. And we've also got a new incubator here in Nice that we started with Eurocom, which is a tech-based incubator. And then a last point, in terms of social inclusion, we have reorganized the complete overhaul of our scholarship policy. As you know, we are a non-profit organization. We have two main challenges. The first one is that our fees doesn't necessarily cover all of our budget, so we have to find money elsewhere. And we don't want money, though, to be a problem for all of the students and participants who don't have the resources to follow our training. And so we give about 60 million euros over 5 years from our own budgets for initial and continuing education. And we're going to continue that. And it's not an easy subject. And we're delighted to announce as well that one of our alumni has donated 1 million euros to the foundation this year. So that's a personal donation. Obviously, he has the resources to do so, but that's a fantastic gift to the school, and it's a show of recognition for all of the work we've done. And then finally, in terms of the rankings, I don't know if you've seen this, we're lucky this year. We are now in the Financial Times top 10 business schools in Europe, next to HEC, Oxford and Bocconi. So that's what this shows the quality of your qualification, because it qualifies the whole institution, and not only in France, also worldwide. So that was the news, and by way of conclusion, I'd like to wish you throughout this period to carry the torch of optimism and enthusiasm. And so, don't let other people decide for you what your life should be. Don't let the naysayers decide for you. And our reason for being is make a positive impact at EDHEC. And so I think it means that you can take action for your futures. And so I'd like to leave you with a quotation from Antoine Saint-Exupéry that I like very much, who said, "Make of your life a dream, and of a dream a reality. Make of your life a dream, and of this dream a reality." So don't forget to dream, and good luck in reality. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Par les valeurs qu'il inspire.
Now, from the values that inspire him and that he embodies, from his behavior, his attitude, his commitment, the choice of a patron isn't easy. And it's not something we do by chance. He graduated from EDHEC in 2007. His character traits are pugnacity, commitment. He's involved and he has a sense of getting results. He's committed to environmental issues, sustainable development for France and Belgium, one of the major players in digital technologies, Amazon. And I'm delighted to announce that your patron is Mr. Charles Davous, EDHEC 2007. I'd like to invite him to join us up here on the stage. Thank you, Loïc.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello to you all.
Alors normalement, je dois voir
Now, normally, I should only see smiles on your faces because it's the day, so you should all be delighted. In any case, it really is a great pleasure for me to be with you here today for this ceremony, for the BSc, MSc, EDHEC Online. It's the first promotion, so it's an extremely important time both for you and for the school.
Alors pour l'anecdote,
now, just to tell you, it's also an opportunity for me to come back to Lille. In a way, I'm catching up because a lot of my promotion was here on Saturday for the 15 years of graduating from EDHEC, and we had to keep catching up.
Donc moi j'étais effectivement à votre place il y a 15 ans.
I was in your shoes 15 years ago. I was graduated in 2007, and I must say, that it was a unique experience. I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit. And my experience was very different, and my company within a company with a form of entrepreneurship that I'm going to talk to you about later on as well. And on 5 occasions, and in 5 very different companies, from startups to Amazon, because as Loïc said, I work for Amazon, and I'll be talking about what I do later on. But I also worked in startups, and I was able to undertake, test, discover, and make mistakes, because that's part of being an entrepreneur as well. And it's really important to have that possibility to be able to try and to learn from the tests that you're able to carry out and the results that you were able to achieve. Each job, each project was marked by encounters, meetings, very different ones, but always very rich, exciting. And the message that I have behind this, which is obvious to you, it's not because you train online that you're not connected to real life and real people. And so these very different people that I met all left an imprint in my mind. First of all, from the fresh produce wholesalers at Rungis Market. Then after that, it was independent drivers in the sector of transport and taxis, and then transport company managers and logistics experts, and more recently with my experience in Amazon. And this diversity of meetings, which I chose, because I chose jobs where I was always in contact with people who were very close to the ground, well, that diversity reminded me of my years at EDHEC. You saw in the institutional film, I think, that the values of diversity and inclusion really are part of the DNA of EDHEC, and they're very, very important for me as well. And so these meetings reminded me of EDHEC because, first of all, the idea of identifying what everyone wants, identifying talents of others as well, with the singularity of everyone with their diverse cultures, and I think it was very interesting to grow amongst tech studies, working groups, etc. And I hope that that's something that you've already done as well, and you found that connection during your virtual training. Now, this experience that you all had together, it has taught you how to work together, of course. It's also taught you to help each other and to get together. And some of you may be meeting today for the first time, but whatever, it has enabled you to go beyond the virtual framework of your training because you're a cohort. There's a spirit that you have together, and you're going into the big family of EDHEC alumni. So here you are, you're ready to go. I've understood that a lot of you are already working. And the message that I would like to get across today is look far ahead. Don't sacrifice any ideas just because you don't think you'll find an attentive ear or because it's off the beaten track. Work on your idea. You've got to give it some depth with the right data. That's something which today is essential. It's a must. All ideas must be supported with the right data, and then think of scenarios. I said to you that I was going to talk to you what I'm doing today in Amazon. Now, I'm in charge of a program which is called On Road to Sustainability with Amazon Logistics, which works on the last mile for Amazon, and I'm in charge of removing carbon from transport in that last mile, and so I deal with the transition of fleets towards electric vehicles and also the introduction of bicycles and pedestrians for deliveries, and so for France and Belgium. Now, maybe you don't know, but Amazon is very much committed in the energy transformation. It was the co-founder of the Climate Page, which aims to be carbon neutral in 10 years' time, 10 years before the Paris Agreement. But in my daily work, and especially when I meet an elected member, I say, you know, it's great, but what are you doing to reduce carbon emissions in my town? And what are you doing to remove vehicles from my town and reduce transport? And so that's what I do every day. It's a very concrete idea. And to come back to what I was saying before, when I talk about leadership at Amazon, when I said that we were going to transfer delivery rounds to cargo bikes in the RATP bus centres, or when I said that we were going to transport parcels in the centre of Paris by barge, or even test them on the underground train, you know, I didn't always know what I was doing completely, but I worked on my idea. I looked at the data points, and I thought of the future scenarios. And the important thing was to know how to answer the question, why? Are we doing it for a press release? Or are we doing it because we've got to start now because in 2 years' time we won't have a choice? And that's something that really does drive the way I work and the way my teams work every day. And I think it's very interesting.
Donc gardez ce temps d'avance.
So stay ahead of the curve, share your vision. And there's something that one of my first managers said, my first manager, when I was in Rungis, he said something that I thought was so true. And
effectivement, quand on présente un projet,
you know, when you present a project, there are always people who'll be on board in the first minute, others who are more skeptical. And the real victory is when the skeptics end up talking about your project as if they thought of it themselves. And so when those people talk about it as if it was their own idea, in a way, you've won. And that's an indicator which really is very human. Before I close and hand on to the next speaker, I just wanted to talk to you about two expressions that we use in Amazon that I find useful and inspiring, and they're aligned with what you were saying, Mr. Arnaud. Own your development. In other words, it's up to you to set the course. I spoke earlier about my career, the entrepreneurial side, and over 15 years I worked for 5 companies. It's up to you. You can spend 15 years in the same company. I mean, so be it if you want to. But if you want to have a diversity of experiences with different companies, then so be it too. It's up to you to choose. And then there's also a motto that I think is great as well. It's work hard, have fun, and make history. Now, in its own way, but in the same spirit, EDHEC has put you on this same path because I think you've worked hard for your diploma. Have fun in front of a screen is probably not so easy, but I'm sure that you had a lot of good time together, and I think it's going to continue because when you're an EDHEC alumni, then, you know, it's for life. You know, starting with my wife. And then to conclude, to make history, well, we said earlier on, it's the first point about EDHEC, promotion of EDHEC Online. So you're in the history of the school, and I hope that you'll continue to contribute to the success, the image, and the reputation of the school by your influence in the business world. And you'll see it's a real pride, a source of pride when you say that you are a graduate from EDHEC. And people say, oh, wow, you know, that's super. People often hear EDHEC mentioned in companies, and, you know, it's with such pride. So well done to you all, and let's party tonight. And thank you very much. Congratulations, everyone.
Merci beaucoup, Charles.
Thank you very much, Charles. Now, even if there were programs online, I'm sure they had a great time. Now, you will have heard that being part of EDHEC means values, it means inspiration, and it means sharing aspirations, commitments, and these are all summarized in a document which is called the Pledge of Loyalty, which is the symbol of these fundamental values that your school wants you to keep and embody. Now, in order to read this pledge, I'd like to invite two students from the BSc, Miss Sarah Bunick and Mr. Joris Geldens, if he would come up, a student of the Master of Science, Engineering and Business.
As a proud EDHEC graduate, I pledge that I will develop and use my knowledge and skills to make a positive, real impact on society. I will apply my curiosity, my capacity for boldness, and my entrepreneurial spirit to innovate and change practices for the better. I will seek to inspire others by acting with integrity in a responsible and ethical manner.
I will use my EDHEC experience to promote new ways of living and working together in a climate of caring and trust, and which respect equality and inclusiveness. As an EDHEC graduate, I will apply the school's values of engagement, open-mindedness, and creativity to make the world around me a better place and serve future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Nous rentrons dès à présent en fait dans
we're now going to start the celebrations. This EDHEC celebration marks a decisive turning point for all of you. It's the end of your academic career, and you are therefore part of graduates who throughout the world have had to face the pandemic, and we mentioned this earlier on, over the last 2 years. During this time, you demonstrated a great capacity to be agile, intelligent, and this success that we're celebrating today cannot overshadow the roles that others have played. I'm, of course, referring to your close relations, your families and your friends who've supported you throughout this period. And I'd like you to all stand up and turn to them. I'd invite all of the EDHEC teams to turn around to those who helped you, supported you, and thank them for the support they gave you throughout your studies. Because again, thanks to their commitment, their investment, their support, you were able to finish this journey that you had embarked upon. These last 2 years have led you to have to find the necessary capacities to move forward, to achieve the objectives that you'd set yourself, to combine as well your private and your professional lives. And I can't hide all the admiration that we have for you, from myself, but from all of my colleagues in the teaching profession, as well as the administrative teams, and all of them join me in showing showing our admiration for you all for all of the work that you've carried out. What changes, what progress was shared with me by some of your coaches who followed you, accompanied you, supported you, and saw you grow, and with whom you shared your doubts, your fears, but also your hopes. And I hope you realize the long way we have all come together. It's true that these 2 years have been very complex and will undoubtedly mark a before and after period, but we've also seen each of you develop a human, even altruistic dimension, which makes you equal to the humanist values of our institution, particularly on the part of some of you who have illustrated yourselves by your outbursts of solidarity, and we can only bow down to such spontaneity and keep this fervent commitment within you, for it will make you responsible and enlightened leaders. Now, for this generation that you belong to, this generation that the sociologist and academician Michel Serres described as the little thumb generation, the petit poussé generation, a symbol of this digital generation with disconcerting digital skills, a generation which, in his opinion, had not experienced wars nor pandemics and was spared the horrors of life. He was far from imagining all that you could have experienced in such a short space of time. Beyond these no less striking aspects, and without our noticing it, a new being has been born before us, forcing us to readapt, to modify our exchanges, our way of perceiving the world, but also to reinvent ourselves in the face of knowledge which is accessible to all. And you've led us to question what constitutes true knowledge. In a digital age, we have to admit that everything seems to be at hand. However, knowledge is certainly not knowledge. And in this digital world, in our education in the digital age, the question arises as to the place of teachers, trainers, and also your role on the path to knowledge. Through your expectations, through your questions, you've forced us to evolve, to review our way of doing things, and to develop new methods of support. It's true that in 2022 the digital sphere is full of information, but its accumulation does not constitute knowledge, because it's at our fingertips. It is tempting to get caught up in the ease and immediacy of this information, and our role then becomes one of bringing you to apprehend it with parsimony and hindsight. In this context, the role of teachers and professors is more necessary than ever to build individuals who are responsible in their actions, in their management, and in the decisions they take within their companies. Everyone will have understood that knowledge is not as it was before. In this world in search of erudition, our role as teachers is essential when we act as a relay between knowledge and learning. But from now on, it's up to you to take on the heavy task of becoming, in your turn, the transmitters of those values that should continually drive you, such as critical thinking, objectivity, and obviously reason. But all these values that I've just stated only have meaning in the action that you will take, in the initiatives that you will promote, in the relationships that you will initiate in order to build and accomplish your project. In this changing world, it's up to you to imagine and build on what we've experienced, to engage in bold projects, and to free yourselves from what people say and self-righteousness, to focus on attention. For from now on, as the late Bruno Latour said, we no longer live in the same land and our world has changed. Over the past few months, our living conditions have changed, both socially, environmentally, and in terms of international relations, and new challenges have arisen. In this new order, no one can stay away from these issues, and it will be up to you to deal with them head-on. abundance and progress will be impacted, replaced by sobriety and mutual aid. And you'll have to write a new story to take your role to heart in order to give meaning to the actions and decisions that you will be the bearers of. So, use your teaching, your values, your commitment for the most noble actions that you will defend, because there is no greater freedom than in the courage to act.
Nous avons eu tout à l'heure les mots
Earlier on,
inspirants.
we had the inspiring words of our patron, and we've had various speeches, and I hope that this one will have meant something to you, because I think it's part of the values we share, especially the Master of Science in International Business will feel, and I would like to thank them for their commitment as well, for those humanistic values. But I'd like to call upon two students who really do embody these values. Two students from each of the promotions have been chosen because they really did stand out and illustrated themselves through their actions, the first by his personal commitment, and the second also on behalf of his fellow students, a Master of Science in International Business. I'd like you to invite Mr. Yanis Mazi, Bachelor of Science in Business Management, and Mr. Emery de Clermont-Tonnerre as representative of the Master of Science in International Business class. If you'd like to join me on the stage.
Que de pression. Les orateurs.
So much pressure with great speakers before us. Now, we're in Lille, but we're actually in Roubaix.
On va dire campus roubaisien.
So we could say a Roubaisian campus. Now, the years have gone past faster than weeks. That's a quote from Necfeu. I've brought Necfeu to us today, and it's been like a mantra for me since the end of my studies at EDHEC. I learnt a lot of things at EDHEC. It's true that I didn't expect to have this honor, so I didn't learn how to write a speech for a graduation ceremony. But I imagine that you're in the same situation, so I decided today to give you a little lesson on how to write such a speech. I haven't got all the YouTube stuff and special effects, but I'm sure you'll understand. So, firstly, you start with initial situation, and a situation that puts you in the position of a hero. That's me. And also where he talks about his ideals. So this is what it would look like. I only recently found out what I wanted to do with my life. However, since I was a child, I've been destroying myself with the pressure that many would have shuddered at. This pressure is the pressure to succeed, the pressure to make my mother proud, who sacrificed herself to give my brothers and I a chance to build something for ourselves. And after many health problems linked to the pressure I was putting on myself, I decided to refocus and to find what matters. So I started to get involved to create associations whose aim would be to help young people who, like me, didn't know where to turn. Eloquencia Lille Metropole, to help young people to speak out. Ubicome, in my hometown, Roubaix. So this campus in Roubaix, to work against precariousness. But I love studying, so I want to continue. I want to have a job that gives me the opportunity to count, to work for equality, and that never again a young person who feels gifted with abilities cannot express himself because of the lack of means and support from society. So that's the first part, so that gives you the facts, and gives you the situation I was going through, not too bad. But then for the second step, to write a speech, you need to have a few adventures. You need obstacles, and the hero, that's still me, has got to overcome them with a sidekick. Now that could be you if you like. So this is what we could say. To enable me to move forward in my quest for a better life, I needed to go back to school and to get a proper education. Studies that would allow me to continue to commit myself where the theory learned could be directly applied. And that's what EDHEC Online gave me. EDHEC was a turning point in my life. I was able to acquire essential skills for my future career. I was able to refine my project and get back on track thanks to my coach, Valerie, who I'd like to say hello to here, who made me go forward and allowed me to look at things but never go back. I was able to talk to teachers who were experts in their fields, teachers who made you want to learn more, to be phenomena. I couldn't find any more rhymes in French, so I said phenomenon. I made more friends in this online experience than in all my years of higher education combined. Jessica, Kama, Aga, Axel, so many, but I'd like to thank you. Thank you, and to my family for having enabled me, through your support, to overcome that difficult period in my life. I had found my place. I was given self-confidence, confidence in my capabilities, confidence in who I am and what I was doing. Well, I was also taught that even 10 minutes from the deadline and in a motorway restroom, a man can get an excellent score on a marketing quiz. Right, Axel? Now, I'm talking about Axel here because he represents the unique experience that EDHEC has. He was in my work group, and like others, he's a loyal, generous friend, and I'd like to thank him for giving me one of the best years of my life. Axel's someone who, seeing that I didn't have a computer to take my exams, drove from Brussels to my home in Roubaix, where you've got the EDHEC campus, to give me a computer. He donated it to my association at the end of the year, and I wrote this speech on it. That's what EDHEC gave me. Skills, of course, knowledge, but above all, friends and a vision of what I could be and what I can be for society and how I can count. So we laughed, we were moved, and that just leaves my conclusion. It's true that it's a good point. You know, you can add things that are trivial into a speech, you know, things like, well, for example, Mom, I know you didn't expect that one day your son would show you what was behind the gates of that campus that we'd seen so much when we walked through the Barbieux Park, which is here in Roubaix, where you've got the EDHEC campus. Gates we never thought we'd get through. Thank you for supporting me, listening to me, accepting my vision of life, and continuing to support me to see me succeed. I love you, and also the few zigotos that are with you here today. So anyway, that's the type of thing that you can add to a speech. And so you end with the conclusion that inspires, pushes to action, and you could say something like, you can maybe put a quotation, and I was told that I could put Marc Aurèle. I said, well, why don't you say, you know, the seed that falls first and the seed that falls last doesn't matter. Don't worry. You know, we laughed when he said that because it wasn't a great quotation, but it represents what I'm trying to say, because today, even if I really did take my time, you know, I know what I want to do with my life. I want to become a change consultant. I want to bring my skills to organizations and change practices to work for greater equality of opportunity by opening the doors to other people like me. The road is long, winding. My commitments sometimes weigh me down, but I see myself moving forward. The years go by faster than the weeks. Let's try to make the world every day a better place. Make a positive impact. Thank you.
Voilà.
Well,
18 mois de formation
18 months of training have just gone by. I can still see myself in the summer of 2020 applying for EDHEC, and to be honest, at the time I was very apprehensive because I didn't know the world of business schools. I wondered if I had the level to follow such a course, and especially if EDHEC would be interested in my profile. And having been an airline pilot before, I didn't know my worth outside an airline. But beyond the courses, it was a nice surprise. I think that this master's degree was nothing less than the diversity of profiles within the class. That's how rich it was. You did well in the selection process at EDHEC. The most difficult thing was to keep going as if it were a marathon, but that was without counting on the spirit of camaraderie that developed quite naturally. As the master's degree was at a distance and we had to break the ice very quickly, we spent hundreds of hours exchanging via social networks. For some of us, it's even the first time we've seen each other today. And yet, it seems like we've known each other for an eternity. Not everyone's here today, but I greet you all, Karim, Augustin, Stephanie, Joris, Jacqueline, Marie-Camille, etc. This master's program would not have been the same without you. And the key was to move forward as a group. In aviation, it's often said that the performance of a crew working in synergy exceeds the sum of individual performances. That's exactly what happened today. And here, we were able to demonstrate this spirit of camaraderie 8 months ago. On the 24th of February, our Ukrainian classmate Karima had to flee Kiev in a hurry. She had only 20 minutes to pack her bag and leave. And from the window of her flat, she had time to film with her phone the Russian missiles falling on the capital. Very quickly, Karina asked us for financial help. I don't have all the details, but I know that out of about 40 students at that time in the program, at least 20 of us made a bank transfer to her. She didn't expect such help. And after 2 to 3 days, she was fortunately able to cross the border and go to Germany, where she had relatives. But beyond the purely financial aspect, there was a very strong mobilization of the class. And even if the master's is finished, she knows she can count on us. My last word will be for EDHEC. In the latest book published in September 2020 entitled Les Grands Défis Économiques, The Great Economic Challenges, John Tirole, Olivier Blanchard, former chief economist of the International Monetary Fund, identify 3 long-term challenges for humanity: climate change, inequalities, and demographic change. We'll not solve these major challenges without training. We need to give access to knowledge to the greatest number of people, and that's exactly what you've done with EDHEC Online. You're at the heart of the system. It starts here, on your benches. You're the only major business school in France to offer entirely distance learning courses from bachelor's to master's. You've been particularly innovative and you're pioneers. My colleagues and I can only encourage you for the future too. Continue as you do to embrace diversity in all its forms and continue to develop continuing and distance learning. EDHEC Online is a part of the future. You have a boulevard in front of you. You have a duty to accompany executives throughout their careers. In a jet plane, you rarely take off with full thrust. However, when you do, use a magic word known to pilots all over the world, TOGA, which says take off, go round. And I'll finish with that. Make an impact, but above all, EDHEC, TOGA. Thank you very much. Thank you for those inspiring speeches. And you understand why we chose those students, because they embody the positive values of the school, given the initiatives they've taken individually, but also that group dynamic that they helped to create. And I would like to congratulate you all for the initiatives that you've taken. Now I'm going to start with the next part of this ceremony. Academic excellence is at the heart of our concerns. It's part of our philosophy here at EDHEC Business School. And it seemed essential to us to be able to honor those who have particularly distinguished themselves in their academic careers. And so in order to help me, so that we can start with this phase, I would like to ask Mr. Benoît Arnaud and Madame Sereni Soplata and Sandrine Devichen if you could come up and join me, please.
Alors je sais pas, mais je pense que vous avez peut-être
I think you have an idea of the best students. I'd like to hear if there are any names for the BSI. Now, I can see people pointing fingers, maybe you know. Now, in terms of Master of Science, do you have an idea?
Students who can obtain the base grades during his schooling or her schooling. Any idea? No? Okay. On va commencer cette fois-ci
par le Bachelor of Science. So we're going to start with the Bachelor of Science.
Pour la promotion
for the class of November 2019, our winner is Yanis Mazi, valedictorian. If you'd like to come and join us on the stage.
Alors, Yanis, vous recevez une double écharpe.
Now, Yanis, you've got two prizes here because you are the valedictorian, but also for your specialization. So well done, management and business. A dual award there for Yanis Madzi, valedictorian.
Nous allons continuer.
Now let's continue. We'll move on.
Cette cérémonie avec
with this ceremony with the second class, so April 2020, so still with the Bachelor of Science in Management and Business, and the winner is Aurélie Delas.
Élodie Delas, pardon.
Élodie Delas, I'm so sorry, Élodie Delas.
Toutes nos félicitations.
Congratulations. Again, you are both the class valedictorian and valedictorian of the Management and Business specialization as well.
Alors, toujours dans la continuité.
Now, to carry on as well with these class winners, we're going to move on to November 2020 and April. We have got Miss Maëlle Gatti, Digital Business Specialization. Now, Maëlle isn't here with us today. If not, we will be sending all of this to her.
On a souhaité aussi mettre,
we also wanted to honor our Master of Science in International Business scholars, and we have two valedictorians. The first for November 2020. Unfortunately, she isn't here with us today, but it's Chloé Simon, who was the valedictorian for November 2020. And then for the February 2021 class, because we're EDHEC online, and so we are congratulating our students online as well. They're following us live. And he will therefore know that he has won. We're talking about Ricky Bichel, who is the valedictorian for February 2021. Now, as part of these EDHEC celebrations and via Emery de Clantonner's speech, the jury decided to unanimously award a special mention of the jury to Karina Muciovidivina, who was supported by her class for the reasons that you heard earlier on. So a lot of respect to her. Unfortunately, a lot of students are suffering throughout the world, and we don't want to go into a geopolitical debate, but it was important to support her because she did succeed with over an average of over 15 without any help of any kind from us. So that is why the jury decided to award her with a special mention. And I think it gives us all a lesson as well that we can learn from her, for Karina Mukudinova.
Avant-dernière séquence.
Now, before we come to the end, before we leave you with the person who will be leading you for a few years, I'd like to ask all of the students of the Masters in International Business if you'd like to come up onto the stage, the Master of Science in International Business, so that you can receive your pledge, which symbolizes the end of your journey at EDHEC Business School.
Who belong to the Master of Science in International Business, to join us on stage. Et je vais inviter cette
I'd like to invite the students for the Bachelors of Science, if they'd like to come up onto the stage to receive their pledge as well. And congratulations to you all.
Je vais vous laisser vous installer.
So I'll let you go back and take your seats very quickly. And given that we're EDHEC Online as well, and that some people are following us today live via streaming, I mentioned the students in London, and there are students in New York, in Rio. I won't come back to the list, but as graduates, I'd like you to be able to give a round of applause and celebrate the students who are following us online.
À nouveau, étant donné qu'il s'agit aussi
and as it's a hybrid ceremony, we've got people here in person, but we've also got people online. So we'd like to make sure that we don't forget anyone who is following us from elsewhere in the world. And I'd like to thank all of the technical teams as well who've helped make this ceremony possible. We've almost come to the end, and in a few minutes, I'm unfortunately going to have to leave you with much regret for this first part of the ceremonies today. I'm going to call upon somebody who's going to play an extremely important role in your lives, because EDHEC isn't just your training and the academic challenges. EDHEC's also a network with values. We mentioned them via the pledge and via the values that are part of you. And so I'd like to invite Martin Barbier, he's the director of EDHEC Alumni, so that he can explain what goes on in this big community.
Si seulement j'avais su.
If only I had known.
Si seulement j'avais su.
If only I'd known.
Si seulement j'avais su.
If only I'd known.
Mais laissez-moi rentrer un
Well,
tout petit peu dans
let me talk to you about something personal. I was in EDHEC 1988. Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. Jacques Carpentier was my best friend at the time. We sort of lost sight of each other just after the First World War, but he doesn't live too far away, and we'll talk about that in a second. If only I'd known everything that EDHEC alumni had to offer me after EDHEC, while I was here as well. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, because you're going to start the rest of your life as an EDHEC alumni now that you're a graduate. There are three things that I would invite you to explore as EDHEC alumni forever. The first one is share, because together we go further. Now, it's not Saint-Exupéry, Marc Aurèle, it's, Grand Corps Malade, because together we go further. And he adds, we learn, we grow, and we laugh together. So, a great poet, Grand Corps Malade. And the idea of share is that we should share things together, like today, but also share the possibility to organize big events like last week, and with the different cohorts who come and celebrate every 5 years, and we organize events in Paris, Lille, Nice, in 25 cities throughout the world every year. We really do celebrate our community. We also welcome the community via welcome parties, so that's the sharing point. And we can do that on a daily basis as well by using our website online, and the alumni online is there to help you on a daily basis. So use that as much as you can. So use that idea of sharing. Second one is caring, the idea of giving, receiving, and at the same time growing yourself. Care are all of the opportunities that will enable you to contribute to the network, like Charles did earlier on via his speech, via being a resource and saying that you will help someone who's done the same program as you, or who will in the future, or somebody doing another program, because we are a big family of lots of programs in EDHEC. It can also be a commitment as well. with donations. We were talking about a huge donation earlier on, but each donation counts. Each donation will enable people who don't have resources to be at EDHEC so that they can have the type of sponsorship, so that the lack of money should no longer be an obstacle for people to come to EDHEC. So lots of means, lots of ways of contributing, and 2 years ago, we spoke about graduates and how we could collect money for them, because whoever you are doesn't necessarily protect you from having an accident in your life. You know, somebody could die, you could have a sick child, you might have to stop working, a divorce, burnout, so many things that have an impact on your resources. And we have a solidarity fund that we've put into place so that we can help you in those conditions. And it can also be financial or non-financial help, where we can give you support. And so just remember it, it's not necessarily for you, but I just invite you to be cautious in the future. Look out for other people around you from your cohort in 5, 10, 15 years' time, because somebody else, thanks to your help, might be able to be identified, and we might be able to help them with that fund. So that's the second part of care. So after sharing care, the third part is dare. Dare to be ambitious, to be proud of EDHEC, dare to wear the school's colours high, combine pride and humility. It's a balance between I'm proud of having been to EDHEC, but I'm humble as well, because that's a good balance in life. I think it's one of the best values of EDHEC. So share, care and dare. Now, if only I'd known. So I hope in the future you'll never be able to ask yourself that question, because now you know, and don't hesitate to come and see me in the years to come. Now, it's up to me to close this ceremony via what we call the turn of tassels. You know what I'm talking about. So I'd invite all of the students. They're all involved. You can invite all of them, can we? So if you'd like to all come up onto the stage, with both sides. There are lots of you, so if you split into two, take the quickest way on either side to come up and join me on the stage. So, all of the students going up onto the stage for the mortarboard ceremony.
Alors, ce rituel.
Now, this ritual. Families, prepare yourselves, because you're going to be involved as well, so get ready.
Voilà, super, installez-vous.
Great, okay, so if everyone comes up onto the stage, this ritual, this rite of passage, stand in the center as well, you know, smallest in the front, organize yourselves as you can, there's no protocol, no organization in any particular way.
Je vous ai cité tout à l'heure Jacques Carpentier.
Now, I mentioned Jacques Carpentier earlier on. Jacques Carpentier doesn't live very far away, and I was in contact with him recently.
Vous êtes avec moi?
Everybody with me? Everybody okay?
Voilà, tout le monde est bien installé.
Okay.
Ouais, super.
First.
Si, mais on va y venir. Là, on va faire le lancer d'abord. Donc, Jacques Carpentier.
Now, Jacques Carpentier, as I said,
j'ai repris contact avec lui récemment.
I contacted him recently, and he said it's great to hear students. So what I'd like to do is make some noise to start with. You know, to say. Now, Jacques Carpentier said recently that he's got a hearing aid so they can hear better. So make some noise, everyone. Thank you very much for Jack. Now, this ritual, if you're all ready, first of all, your tassel should be on the right-hand side. So, everybody ready? Everybody knows where the right is? So, put your tassel to the right. Everybody check, make sure that your colleagues have got the pom-pom on the right. Okay, tassels to the right. Slowly, we're going to take it from the right to the left, because that symbolizes your graduation. So slowly, take your tassel, put it from the right to the left. And now, I'm going to invite family members and you to count down from 5 to 0. And when we get to 0, you can throw your mortarboard in the air together. So, everybody ready with the families and staff as well? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.